Hey guys, it's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe, and I wanted to just talk about a little bit of a memory I had. I was a teenager, and I think I had went to Hollywood Video. Hollywood Video was a little after Blockbuster, but a competitor nonetheless. So we had both in the area. Um, Trying to remember, I know the Hollywood was closer. I can't recall exactly where the Blockbuster was at this point, but it was like a Friday night. I must have been about, I'm trying to think how old I was. I would say between 13 and 16, probably in that vein. And my mom's like, "Oh, I'm going to Hollywood to rent a movie for the weekend. You want to come? I'll rent you something." So we get there, and I always used to like finding the weird stuff that I had never heard of. And I'm still like that. That's why I always kind of like Netflix and Amazon Prime and stuff like that, because I tend to find the things that, you may not have heard of, or something that piques your interest, but you don't know what it is. So I come across the independent section and I pick up Fishing with Gandhi. Fishing with Gandhi is a movie with twin brothers. I think it's John and James Reismuth. It's a very German sounding name. I'm butchering it. And it's an hour and 6 minutes. I think I had rented it on VHS, but I don't recall because, as I said, it's been a number of years now. But I don't believe I had DVDs then. I think it was VHS. So my mom's like, "Are you sure you really want to rent this? I mean, I'll rent it for you, but it looks kind of silly." I said, yeah, it looks funny. So I bring it home and I watch it, and I don't remember like appreciating this thing like tenfold or anything like that. But it was amusing nonetheless. Keep in mind I was a teenager. Returned the movie to the store, didn't really think about it again. And till this day, I had always thought, what would happen if I saw the movie now? Would my opinion change? What I remember of it? I mean, I really didn't remember much. All I remembered was it had something to do with this guy hitchhiking. That was it. I don't really remember much else. So to my surprise, I go on Amazon Prime the other day, and Fishing with Gandhi's on there, and I'm like, okay, I gotta revisit this. So I've since watched the movie twice. First off, I'd like to preface this by saying Fishing with Gandhi is a great movie for like late night viewing. Certain movies are great in certain capacities, certain people around, certain times of day, whatever. Fishing with Gandhi feels like a good late night film, as does Videodrome, but that's neither here nor there. So I watched the movie a couple weeks ago. I liked it. I put it on again last night because I just wanted something in the background. The plot of the story is this guy is coming home from his mom's wedding. The father had passed away, and the mother ends up marrying the uncle, who is the father's brother, of course, not incest, not her own brother, which is actually a joke in the film. So the whole movie is pretty much these bits and pieces of this guy talking with these two twin brothers. They're like hillbillies, who Roy and Gil, who pick him up as he's hitchhiking home and are dropping him home. That's really it. That's kind of the whole basis of the film. It does show his friends waiting for him before he gets home. They want to throw like a little party. Everyone is kind of quirky in the movie. There's the two hillbilly twin brothers. There's the main character who's sort of like shy and off-putting initially. Then there are his roommates who are sort of like gay hipsters. I can't really like pinpoint them, but keep in mind this movie came out in 1998. So hipsters weren't exactly a thing then, but that's what these guys seem like. Then there's like a weird kind of hipster goth kind of girl who is friends with them. She's at the house too, waiting for this guy, Dan, to come home from his trip. He's having a hard time adjusting to the fact that his mom has now married his uncle. There's talks about if the uncle and the mom are cheating. But the main thing of the story is the quirkiness of the characters. It was originally, and I found this out later, this is a movie, I believe, that was made by this group of comedians. I think it's like 4 or 5 of them, including the two twin brothers, the guy Dan, I can't think of who else. And I guess they did these like comedy routines and these shows in the area, and then they eventually made movies. That's kind of what I gathered from it. So if you like something reminiscent of like Andy Kaufman, that kind of dry humor, you might like this. It's a lot of just chit chat and back and forth between these people, and it's about life and experiences and things that these people have been through, and then like the reactions they get. Like Dan will tell a story, and the reactions he's now getting from the twin brothers Roy and Gil. They did go on to produce another movie called Cow Monkey, which I have not seen, and that movie is also stars Roy and Gil. So these characters have now been in 2 movies together, and I'm not sure where else the characters have transcended to in terms of what else they've done with them. Overall, my appreciation for the film has definitely increased being a little older now, understanding where some of the characters are coming from. Some of the dialogue is funnier to me now than it would have been, I would assume, when I was younger, because I understand more and I've been around more and I've seen more. It sort of gives you that little thing where you can pinpoint certain parts of your life. And sometimes your life, when you look at it, isn't this big picture. It's just little small chunks. And each of the chunks kind of bring something back to you. Something positive, something negative, maybe a good moment you had with friends. Just something, like a reminder. Like, for instance, I was telling Beth earlier, we went to Toys R Us before. We were just kind of looking around at video games and stuff. And this Toys R Us specifically always reminds me of a friend I had. Her and her parents were over, and I was going to shoot to Toys R Us, and I brought her with me, and we went over there, and I ended up digging through this bin of like old video games and found a Game Gear game, and I bought it for like $3. And that's kind of what life is. It's little chunks of what you remember, the good things, hopefully, not always the bad, things that, what's the word I'm looking for? The bad things that kind of influence your life in a negative light. So that's sort of what this movie is. It's lots of little chunks of life. And these guys just chit-chatting back and forth, almost sort of like a Seinfeld episode, I guess, even though I don't like Seinfeld. I look forward to seeing Cow Monkey one day. I'm hoping I can download it or see it somewhere. It seems a little hard to come by. They did make a 2-pack with Cow Monkey and Fishing with Gandhi. And they do explain at the very, very end of the film what that title means. And it's such a small, stupid part of the movie that it's funny that they named the movie that. But overall, it's a pretty good film. It's definitely quirky. It's a short film, being an hour and 6 minutes. You have to want to pay attention, though, and listen to the dialogue between the characters, because that's where you'll find the humor. As I said, sort of like what Andy Kaufman would do, like, Breakfast with Freddie Blassie or something, and he would chit-chat with him, and, like, the humor was there. That's kind of how this movie is, and you definitely have a liking for these characters. I would say I liked Roy and Gil and Dano. I didn't like his friends so much at home. They were a little kind of flamboyant and weird to me, but it's one of those weird indie films that no one's really heard of, I guess, and if they did, they're talking about it on IMDb and praising it, but that's really it. It's not something that you've kind of heard about through buddies or anything. I've never heard about it otherwise. There's another movie I do want to cover, so I'm going to do another viewing of that soon, probably next weekend, and then I'll throw a little movie memory about that as well. But check out Fishing with Gandhi if you have Amazon Prime. Again, not the greatest film, and you do have to be in the right mindset and keep in mind that it is an independent film, and most of the dialogue is where the humor comes from. It's not like slapstick comedy. So, thanks guys for watching. It's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. Be good.